Hi everyone. Today markets did continue to chop higher as we expected, breaking through the key level 574.71, continuing to grind above that level, holding the 21 EMA after the retest. So continuing to show a lot of strength as we expected, breaking that level on a closing basis. So again, everything looks very, very strong going into tomorrow, but let's take a look at all of the charts and see if we can find anything that might change our minds. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. In news today, we got consumer confidence falling 9.6 points to a 65.2, which is the lowest number in 12 years. Absolutely not what you want to see. Conditions have slipped substantially. You can see the month-over-month confidence slipping to 92.9, down 7.2. Another really strong contraction. So is this going to lead to a potential recession within the year? Definitely interesting. You can see consumers' optimism about future income has kind of vanished here. You can see largely vanished, suggesting worries about the economy. A lot of this hasn't really come to fruition quite yet, but there is generally pessimism about the current administration and some of these tariff effects. And even Trump himself said there's going to be a period of pain before these things start to improve the broader economy. So are we going to see some short-term weakness, maybe medium-term weakness? I still think the answer is yes, and we've been talking about it on the channel, expecting lower lows over the next several months. Moving over to fear and greed, we ended up at a 29, up from a 28, continuing to trend slowly higher, but really not that much considering the gains that we're seeing. You can see pretty substantial movement on momentum, but still extreme fear across all of the indicators. To me, that's saying there's quite a bit of upside potential over the next couple days. Volatility still neutralized, safe haven demand continuing to improve there, junk bonds, extreme greed. So some of those kind of softer indicators are showing a little bit of strength, but the big three are not showing that strength quite yet. Want to see this pull back. Realistically, I think we might even get to that 125 EMA. That would be interesting. And then if we get a rejection from there, that's going to be catastrophic. But for now, still looking for a little bit more bullishness based on these indicators. Moving over to the economic calendar here for Tuesday, you can see that consumer confidence number not good, new home sales not good. Two-year note auction came in a little bit lower, pretty much in line with where the yields are right now. Tomorrow we have durable goods orders. Want to see those stay hot if possible. The expectation is not so much, but a change to the upside could be interesting. And then Atlanta Fed GDP already expected to be pretty negative there for Q1. And then don't forget, we have the big GDP number on Thursday in the morning. I think that's going to be a major impact. This is the final number here for Q4. You also have core PCE prices ahead of the PCE data on Friday. Moving over to the charts, starting off with the S&Ps here, you can see we gapped up and dojied. A little bit concerning. We didn't see a little bit more run on that. Would have wanted to see a push towards the 579 area. But we gapped up and dojied. If we see a gap down in doji, that's going to be definitely concerning. But right now, momentum bullish, RSI a little bit bullish. Everything says we should continue to go higher after breaking through that 574 level. And you can see it here on the hourly, grinding slowly higher, got above that level early, retested it, and then closed above it. So overall, strong there. Want to see it continue to hold above the level. If it breaks down from here, obviously 569 would be back in play. You got the 55 EMA in there. You can see RSI starting to show a little bit of weakness on that hourly chart. A little bit concerning there, but overall the structure continues to be pretty bullish with these lows getting bought up. Want to see this push to 579, 78 tomorrow, and potentially towards that 144 EMA at 581.60. Moving over to those tasty charts here on the 4-hour, you can see we got through that 89 EMA. That was a little bit of resistance early on, but overall bullish candles after that. And now we're pushing towards that 144 at 579.84. So pretty much in line with that level that we talked about on the previous chart. Upper ATR band 580.04, so pretty much everything says we should get at least a couple of dollars of upside, about 1%, just short of 1% up into that zone. Want to see this continue to push. Still bullish conditions with that trailing stop sitting at 566.93. Moving over to the NASDAQ, however, the NASDAQ did have a much stronger session, up about 0.5%, breaking through that 492 level. Pretty strong gap and push. Pushing towards that 200, we got a tag of the 200 at 493.44. The high of day was 493.62. So we touched that level. We've closed pretty much on top of it. Are we going to push through there? We're going to wait and see tomorrow. The concern is that we have a breakdown retest of the 200. A lot of people are going to view this as a zone of resistance. If it does reject reject from there and sell, that's obviously going to be a major negative for markets. But for now, we're looking for a push through there up to that 498.44 area. But be very nimble here tomorrow. If we get a rejection from there, that's going to be big negatives potentially. So keep it in mind. Right now looks very strong. The close was strong. You had negative momentum, RSI super overbought, and price continued to grind higher. So everything there says bullish for me, but again, 200 can be a major turning point for markets. Moving over to the Qs here on the Tasty charts, you can see we pushed through that 89 just like the SPY charts. The ATR band continues to trend up, trailing stop at 482.14. The current target would be 496.13. That 144 EMA is sitting there 498.11. So again, a pretty decent amount of upside for maybe $5 of potential into that zone. So expecting at least one more day of continuation, and then we'll see what we get after that. Overall, continues to look pretty bullish up into that zone. And then I think we'll probably slow, at least in this acceleration. Maybe we even pull back and get a higher low, and then a continuation back up into those ranges. But either way, still looking for some bullishness tomorrow. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow. The Russell was actually down about 0.5%. Interesting, back below that 208.70 level is really strong yesterday. Not so much here today. Momentum still bullish, RSI still bullish, but showing a little bit of pullback. Not a lot, but a little. Want to see it hold this zone here. Definitely don't want to see it go below the 21 there at 206.53. Your support would be 205.07, but really want to see that 21 hold just for a show of support in that area. And then looking at the Dow, slightly positive, 33 cents, nothing crazy. Did test 426.20 again, but couldn't get above it. Huge sell candle there. Interesting. Want to see it kind of shake that off and push tomorrow. If we see a little bit of continuation to the downside off of that huge sell volume, that's going to be a little bit concerning. But for now, structurally, we're still intact. Want to see it push through that level. Moving over to the Mag 7, as you would suspect, the Mag 7 has been leading us higher, 1.34% here today, pushing back up to that 290.65 level after we broke below it here on the 6th of March. Want to see it continue to form to 296, but we'll see. Again, zone of resistance, but we're above the 200, so that's a nice little indicator. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish, everything still says really strong push. Should see continuation here, but just some things to think about as some potential zones of resistance, and I am still expecting a lower high setup off of this kind of consolidation low. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft. Apple had a great day, 1.37%. Microsoft also up 0.5%, closed above that 394.22 level, so that's a good indicator there. Want to see it hold that level and push to that 55 EMA around 408.78. And then you can see Apple getting close to that resistance at 224.36. I suspect we'll touch that tomorrow, maybe even overthrow it to the 21 at 226.57. We'll see. Either way, momentum stepping to bullish, RSI still bullish. Everything here says we should get continuation up into those zones. And really, I like Microsoft holding this level here. Relative strength wise, not so great, but structurally, like this candle break, really tight stop, and look for that stronger continuation. Moving over to Tesla and NVDA. Tesla continues to be really strong, 3.5% there. There's news about their robo-taxi coming out in June in Austin, Texas. If that is a success, you could absolutely see Tesla move extremely powerfully to the upside. They could generate huge amounts of revenue off of that robo-taxi concept. I just don't think the stock is pricing that in. There's also a lot of movement on the robot front with their Optimus robot. If that comes to fruition, that's going to be very interesting. Those things I really just don't believe are super priced into the stock. You had Kathy Wood out here today saying that Tesla could go to $2,600 or $2,800, something crazy from here, another 10x. That seems insane, but you never know. They were right the first time, and we could go another 10x. That would be crazy. And then NVIDIA, pretty much unchanged, down about 0.5%, kind of in the same trading range as before. Again, as long as the VWAP and 21 EMA zone holds in here around 117, 118, then you're in good shape. But if it rejects from this trend line, kind of like we have now, and then pushes through this zone, then you're looking for a test back down at the 108 to maybe 106 area. Moving over to Amazon and Alphabet, both of these had strong days, 1.2 and 1.68% momentum bullish, RSI bullish. Broke these levels here, looking to push through that 144 up to 112 for Amazon, and then you got Alphabet up 1.68% through that 170 level, gap to it and rallied. Everything looks good there to push to the 176 area. So again, Mag 7 stocks looking pretty strong going into tomorrow's session with these level breaks and continuations. Moving over to staples and discretionary, staples down almost 1%, breaking through that 78.88 level, pushing towards 77.50. This has been a huge move. We went from 76 all the way up to 84 and back to 78. So really aggressive movement here in staples. Now we're breaking the level. You should expect another move down to that 77.50 level. And then you got discretionaries up almost 1% at 0.8%, $1.63 or so. Again, through that level, we held the 21 test, held that 200 test, looking for 210. I'm sure Tesla is driving a lot of this, but this continues to show risk on here between discretionaries and staples. Moving over to breadth, 20 and 50-day breadth. 20-day was actually down a little bit, but it still held the level 51.75. Want to see a continuation to 68. We did go higher initially, but then we gave some of that back. And then you got 50-day up about 3%. It did close above the level, the 40 level. You got the 21 right there. If it rejects from that, that's going to be very, very concerning. Realistically, we want to see this push through this area here, back up to the 50 area in here, and then maybe we start to get rejections from there with this clear double top area. Maybe we triple top in there. But for now, momentum bullish, RSI still bullish. I still believe we're going to go a little bit higher tomorrow and get that continuation style move. Moving over to the dollar did not move a whole lot. You can see it was down just 0.09 or 0.09%. So pretty much unchanged on the day. The dollar continuing to show resistance at that 104.4 area. Momentum is bullish. RSI is still bullish. You had a nice little bullish structure here, but cannot seem to get above that level, and we're continuing to show a little bit of rejection here. So test, breakdown, really aggressive move to the trend, lower high setup here so far. Are we going to break down further to that 200 area in the 103.8 area? Overall, the dollar is not showing a lot of strength in this area, so I'd be patient if you're trying to be bullish. If you're trying to be bearish, as long as you're below 104.4, I think you're in good shape. Moving over to the VIX. The VIX did not break through that kind of key zone that we were hoping for. We're right at the trend here now. Momentum is still bearish. RSI is still bearish. We're still continuing to go lower, but want to see it break through this level and push to the 14 area. That would kind of allow me to relax a little bit, but right now, we're still in this zone despite the kind of rallies that we saw here today. Tomorrow, I still think we're going to go through here, but if we do start to see some rejection on the VIX, that's going to be interesting. So keep an eye on this one. Right now, it still looks bearish, but it is in a zone of support. Moving over to my accounts, really, really good day, really strong day here, back up to 137.2. Want to see this continue to hold, obviously. Still recovering from that Monday last week, which was abysmal, but we're still pretty solidly green on the week and on the year when markets are not. So we're trying to hold that here and get some continuation. In terms of positions, I rolled out pretty substantially, 208 for tomorrow on the Russell for 78 cents. If this starts to break down further, I might just take this off. I really wanted to see the Russell follow through. I was hoping for strong continuation after the relative outperformance we saw yesterday, but today not so much. I was able to mitigate most of those losses, but either way, not so great now. And then looking at the Qs, obviously really strong there. Rolled out here to the Thursday at 491 and 492 for $4.60 and $3.94. So the max profit there is around 496. We're not quite there yet. Want to see this continue to rally here. I'm still being cautious, and I have no problems taking these off early if I need to. I do have some downside protection, but I do have to kind of wait for that to follow through out for that Thursday. So either way, in a bullish position right now. Still like markets to the upside, just watching some of those factors to potentially take these off if we see significant weakness starting to come through. Let me know down in the comments section what you think of consumer confidence and the effects on the broader market or the economy going forward. If we see that continue to downtrend, let me know. Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of this video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.